St Peter's Ruby Red.
Life is too short to be drinking shitty beer.
Welcome to another edition of Bands, Bikes and Booze Reviews. I have got one here today from the St Peter's Brewery that is based in Suffolk, which, if you're not from the UK, you may have heard of if you're into your beers, into your British beers that is, because there's two quite big breweries that are based up there. One of them, of course, being Green King, probably the biggest. And then you've got Adnams as well. They're based up there too. And this lot are not too far away from them. The Adnams Brewery is only 15 miles away. And the Green King is about, I'd say, a bit further, about 40 miles, something like that. But they're all sort of in the locality and all that. And I picked this up because I tried the St Peter Plum Porter. I quite like that. What I like about them though is the shape of the bottle. It's a very unique bottle they have got there. I don't know how much that cost to make them. It can't have been cheap because it's not your average style bottle. It's like if you can see the bottom of that, that's an oval shape. And would you believe that is based on a gin bottle from the United States, from Philadelphia to be exact, and I don't know where they've got that from, but it's something they use for all their beers, and it's what caught my eye with the Plum Porter. I quite like that. I've reviewed that quite a while back. Well, I say quite a while back, earlier in the year, and I see this in Morrison's, and I thought, do you know what? If it's a ruby ale, then that's my kind of thing. But as I say, it's quite an interesting design. They've really thought about the design on their bottles. They've got a raven as their logo, and the raven signifies the Vikings who occupied Suffolk back in the Dark Ages, as they were called. And St Peter's Hall, which is near where this brewery is, there's a big moat that was built there, and that was to keep out the Viking raiders who would come over, because Suffolk does sort of face the North Sea, so if they were coming from Norway or Denmark, that would be around there, and a little bit further Lincoln and Hull would be the sort of drop-off points for their longships to go and rape and pillage. Lovely fellas, the old Vikings. They've been going since 1996. Not the Vikings, St Peter's. And they sort of class themselves as a craft brewer, but they've very much got the traditional British brewer in mind when they set up. And I think the reason for that is it's got a lot to do with the area. It's quite a rural area. It really hasn't got many big cities. I think it hasn't really got many big towns. I think Ipswich is probably the biggest. Bury St Edmunds, of course, that's where Green King is based. So, and there's a fair bit of competition there. So, you know, they're up against it, you know. But this looks quite good. So, let's stop treading water and let's get this beer investigated. It's a 500ml bottle. It's 4.3%. It says a sweet and peppery red ale with hints of vine fruits. That sounds really nice. When it says sweet and peppery, pepper obviously is coming from the English hops that I'm presuming they're using. When they say sweet, now this is interesting, they're using rye crystal malt. Now rye crystal malt is especially suited for ruby ales, and it actually gives it that colour. that ruby red colour. So that's why they've used that, and that makes perfect sense as well. And it's one of my sort of favourite styles of British beer. I do like ruby ales, and if this is as good as the plum porter, it should be a good one. Now, I've just tried the Weltenberg Kloster Doppelbock. That was absolutely amazing. I'm not expecting it to taste as good as that, but I'll be intrigued to see what it tastes like. So let's stop guessing. Let's get this fucking beer open. Right, here we go. This is about cellar temperature. I've had it sitting here for about half hour. Room's quite warm. It's come out of the fridge. There is the cap. It has got that raven on the cap. That is to, hang on, let me get the, oh, there you go. That is to commemorate the Viking raids on Suffolk back in the Dark Ages. Let's get this into a glass. Now, these are quite widely available. You do get them certainly down here. I'm not sure about up north, but you can certainly get them down in Kent and in London. I've seen them in the supermarkets down there. What are we getting on the nose? Wow. Very sweet malt, as I would expect. That is sweet. Wow, sweet caramel. It smells really nice, and as I said, I've just tried that Doppelbock, and it had similar type of aromas. Certainly that sweet caramel, and it does look good. The head retention is really good. That is an off-white beige style head, and it is, as it says, a lovely ruby red colour. Let me see if I can get some more of it. Oh, it smells absolutely gorgeous. If you can imagine sweet caramel and chocolate. This smells really good. I'm hoping it is going to be a good one. Let's get the rest of it in there. I have to say, this bottle is really nice. I like it. It's just so ergonomic. Your hands fit round it perfectly. Really nice. Well done, St. Peter's. I'll give you a mark for the bottle alone. Very unique. Oh, it smells gorgeous. Very sweet caramel, little touch of toffee, bordering on chocolate. Smells good. Let's see if it tastes as good as it smells. Bottoms up. Oh, that is bittersweet. That is the best way to summarise that. Nice bitter finish on there with what I can only assume is British hops, but the sweetness of the malt is really, really present as it goes down. Oh, that's really nice. Caramel and toffee. Sweet caramel and toffee. Carbonation's a little touch aggressive for that, but head retention is reasonably good. And I have to say, I have no complaints about this whatsoever. There's a lovely earthy and peppery style. As it says, actually, it says pepper, sweet and peppery. That is a perfect summarisation of this beer. It is sweet on the initial mouthful, and then on the finish you've got peppery bitterness. It's really nice. Vine fruits as well. Not sure I'm getting that at the moment. It's weird. Caramel in the mouth, toffee on the finish, and then your big peppery style bitterness. That is lovely. That's a really good effort. Now, if you want to try this on cask or keg, I think actually it will be cask. They have a pub in London called the Jerusalem, which is in a place called Clerkenwell, which is towards the east end of London. But it's, if you can imagine, northeast. But I'll tell you something, there is some fantastic pubs around now. And I have been in the Jerusalem a couple of times. No, in fact, more than a few times actually. And it's a real misnomer of a pub in London. It looks like it hasn't changed since the 1600s. It has all wooden floors and wooden architecture. But it's only been there since, I think, 1983. Someone was telling me it's been there since the 80s. Before that, it was a watchmaker's, and it's been converted into a pub. St Peter's have taken it over, and they serve their beers in there. Now, I think I've tried this before on cask in there, and what you see in that pub is what you get. They have the casks behind the bar, and I'm pretty sure it was Ruby Red that I was drinking. I'm going way back now. This must be 2008, something like that. And I do remember this being really nice. It was certainly a dark red style beer, and I think it must have been this. But that sold out really quickly. I think I had 2 pints. I went back for a third. And as I say, what you see is what you get. All the casks are behind you. And he flipped it down. The fella behind the ramp, he's flipped it down. He said it's all gone now, and that was that. So I had to go into something else. But I do remember this, and I'll tell you another time. This is going to be disgusting. If you're watching this and you're drinking or you're eating, pause it, finish, or if you're easily offended, go now. Right? I've got a really good mate. I went to infant school with him, and I've kept in touch with him ever since. He went to my wedding and everything. I've known him fucking well, as old as I am now. And I met him down there, and he's not really an ale drinker. He used to run a pub, believe it or not. Actually, in Suffolk, he used to run a pub, but he doesn't like real ale. And of course, this was all they were selling in there. And he had a pint and a half, and he says, "Kira," he says, "I've got to go to the toilet," and he had to go for a number 2. Now, I'm not joking, and he's a big lump as well. He's about 6'4", something like that. Built like a brick shit house. Parents were both paddies and all that, and same as me. And he stunk that pub out. I am not joking. It was in the summer. We was all standing outside, and when he opened the door, and as he came out, somebody held the door open, and he said, "Drink up, we're leaving." I've just stunk that pub out, and I went, "What are you talking about?" And then it just hit me. So yeah, he knows who he is. I don't know whether he's watching or not, but he fucking knows who he is. That was disgusting. He nearly killed everybody in that pub. It was like a chemical attack. You could get your dinner out of it, put it that way. That's how bad it was. Anyway, enough about that. Let's get back to the beer. This is really nice. It's quite full-bodied as well. Now, there's no brew sheet. There's a lovely bit of finish on that. It's like you're lulled into a false sense of security. You get the first mouthful, and it's very sweet, and you think, "Oh, this is nice and pleasant," and then you swallow, and then that's when all the hop, spice, and earthy notes come in and just make that a bitter finish, and it's lovely. As I was going to say, the body on it is reasonably good. I've got no complaints there. The brew sheet is, well, it's virtually non-existent on the website. I did look on St Peter's website, and all they make a big thing about, and I think they say it on the bottle as well, is that rye crystal malt, and that's what gives it this colour. And the crystal malt obviously gives it the sweetness that I'm tasting on the initial mouthful. But there's hops in here, and it must be all them other small breweries. There's a load of breweries around Suffolk. It's almost like Yorkshire for like little, because it's very rural, and a lot of the old farm buildings now that are no longer functioning as farms, they've been turned into breweries. You just got to look on Beers of Europe and you see all these little Suffolk breweries, and fair play to Beers of Europe, they stock all these. But they must be getting their hops from the same source, and I've tried a few of these little Suffolk breweries and they've all got these lovely nice malts and nice hops on them too, and this is no exception. I'm really liking this. Yeah, this is a good one. I like that. So what's the verdict on St Peter's Ruby Red? Yeah, this is a really nice one. This is what I would expect from a ruby ale. This is the archetypal ruby ale, and it tastes great out of a bottle. I am very impressed with that. Lovely, sweet malts on the initial mouthful, as I said, and then on the back end, it's just hop bitterness, hop spice. Lovely, really do like that. Very moorish too. I mean, I've gone through half a pint, and I'm going to polish that off. But as it goes down, it's just even nicer as it goes down. And I'm sure I've drank this before, and I do remember it being good on cask. So I am going to give that, in the grand scheme of things, I'm going to give it an 8.5 out of 10. No, I'm not. I'm going to give that a 9 out of 10, because I could quite easily sup that all night. I'm going to give it a 9 out of 10. It's not the best ruby I've tasted. Some of the stuff from Cotley, I think, has been better than that. But this isn't far off. This is a good one. If you like your ruby ales, if you like your bitters as well, yeah, this is a good one. The plum porter was pretty good too. So there's two I recommend from this brewery. That is a 9 out of 10. That is recommended. This has been Bands, Bikes and Booze Reviews. And remember, beer is working class champagne.